Have you ever reached a point in your life where the outside world feels so overwhelming and chaotic that you shut off? Your brain starts to gaslight you about reality as you slowly feel a stranger in your own body and everything outside isn't real anymore? A distant memory or the distracting buzz and glow of a TV? This is what is called depersonalization and derealization, key elements of disassociation and existential OCD. I just wanted to share this now because of how important it is for people to not feel alone in their struggles. Many creative people, including myself, are going through periods of this as the news becomes more and more extreme and unpredictable. Having a creative practice becomes a vital part in staying grounded and feeling real in your body, in the world, and connected to reality. Even if you don't feel safe, having purpose and connections keep you going and banishes the mental floating and existential meandering, wondering if you're real or not. Your creative practice hopefully provides you with solid proof of existence and brings you hope of something more, puts your focus on something wonderful and worthwhile. For me, this podcast is something I can turn to in such moments and start writing another episode to keep from drifting away. Thanks for being real with me. Welcome to the Burnt Out Podcast. Last time I spoke about taking a neurological explorationist approach to writing and finding your creative medium. Today I thought it would be fun to talk about reading and how literature is taught in schools and how it can affect your writing. This is from my own educational experience. I went to a combination of public schools, private schools, and homeschool in several different states because school and I didn't vibe. It was too chaotic to learn in. I preferred staying home and reading on my own. In the US, there's no standard educational experience, even within the same school, except for the school lunch pizza and chocolate milk of the 1990s. If your school had enough money for multiple teachers of one subject, each teacher would have their own priorities of what to teach and how. There's no reliability of what you'll learn because nothing is standardized. It makes it hard as a student to know if you're receiving a good education or not, and what skills you're lacking and need to catch up on before college. Unless you're curious enough to study and teach yourself topics outside of school, it's most likely you'll have significant catch-up time. In this unpredictable school environment, the main issue I've experienced in class is the lack of instruction, practical skills in the area of research, reading analysis, and writing, most of which need to be ongoing skills. It should start in late elementary school, but sadly doesn't get taught until the first year of university. With the spending crisis in this country, many people believe education should just cover the basics. But what those are exactly is hotly debated, and without standardization, there will continue to be gaps in education across cities, states, and the country. I'm going to take everyone back to high school English class. Your assignment is to read a book as a class and then discuss it. Usually there's a film involved as well. The teacher gives you little context and no instruction about literary analysis or theory that will help you understand the author's message, purpose of the story, and get the most out of the book. And so immediately most of the class is lost and disinterested, waiting for the movie so that they can make up some semblance of understanding the lesson and pass the essay assignments. We weren't given the tools to interpret the books we read. The social and historical context of when a book was written and why is important in understanding its contents and its influence on our current society. Without it, you'll continue to have English classes where everyone reads The Scarlet Letter or The Crucible and doesn't move past the reactionary phase of, wow, the Puritans were messed up people. Students need to know what to do with the information they're presented with. In order to move beyond the reactionary opinion, you need to be able to ask and understand the why, what, who, and how of history in order to make connections to modern society and how literary movements influence social perception. High school students aren't given the practical tools to understand how to ask questions and understand what they're reading, which is why literary theory and analysis should start in middle school. On a very practical level, students should know what the various theories are and how to apply them when reading and analyzing texts. Connecting theory to life is crucial. Asking students how well do these theories explain the social phenomena they experience. The idea of tropes, stereotypes, and genre conventions are bound up in cultural narratives of how we interpret individuals and what value we place in their stories. Where do those values come from should be frequently discussed at this stage in the educational process. We shouldn't have classes where teachers are afraid to talk about the books and explain history without being sued by parents for indoctrination. Being able to understand your own history and the culture you live in has a huge effect on how and what you write about. Culturally aware students are more likely to have less communication problems, knowing how to talk about mental health, disability, having the language to describe their daily lives and experiences gives students a huge advantage in processing and healing trauma, whether it's a past event, intergenerational, or ongoing due to systemic oppression. Developing your creative skills is essential in development of self-awareness and resilience in society. Media literacy and the lack of critical thinking is a widely debated topic right now in the United States, especially by educators who are trying to combat anti-intellectualism and the defunding of public schools. And sadly, as much as educators aspire to teach critical thinking, I don't believe they're equipped to teach it, especially with their low levels of understanding of disability and neurodivergence and how it affects what and how they teach. Teaching explicitly is a lost art. It's easier to assume students will just pick up on certain ideas and lessons in their social environment, that it's a waste of time teaching basic skills. That couldn't be further from the truth. Everyone, both disabled and non-disabled students, need explicit teaching, especially when it comes to media and consumerism literacy. I don't remember the exact name, but the class was called something like Conscious Consumerism and Propaganda. One of the best classes provided in my first year of high school. I was living in Alaska at the time, so all of our textbooks were Canadian, just to give you some context. This Canadian-based textbook in class gave me the language to understand what I was seeing, not just in sales and marketing schemes aimed at children and adults, but the overall propaganda of the United States, from inaccuracies in military history to keeping people hooked on consumerist compliance-based behaviors based on the idea that they'll eventually be rewarded. All countries have some form of propaganda, but the United States has turned itself into a religion, or cult if you prefer, where citizens pledge unquestioning loyalty to a flag every morning. The influence of years of that has not so subtle impact on people and how they think and feel about life and learning. Curiosity is often punished, not rewarded in US society. Just ask any neurodivergent person and they'll have school trauma in spades. This is something that needs to be addressed directly, as having an impact on our understanding of education, the purpose of it, and how school systems either empower their students or keep them trapped in cycles of ignorance. Now, the teacher who taught the class was wonderful. They knew how to straightforwardly explain the concept of rhetorical appeal, faulty narratives, logical fallacies, bias, the use of dog whistles, and trigger words in everyday conversations, TV shows, books, advertising, and political speech was explained. Cognitive bias training wasn't mainstream in the late 1990s, but we were taught what would later become the basics of media literacy and diversity training. I was shocked to find out later on that schools outside of Alaska were not required to have this type of course. This class was less than a semester long, and the teacher often filled it with films and TV shows to illustrate the concepts in the lessons. But I imagine it would be a lot more impactful and easier to teach these necessary skills if they were taught on an ongoing basis throughout school, beginning in elementary and gradually working up to more and more serious subjects that teens face. It should be a nationwide policy, not left up to a single inspired teacher trying to do something different by teaching critical thinking skills all at once in a single course. In future, I hope teachers will receive more education and training on cognitive bias so that they can see their own preconceptions about teaching and learning, to teach students based on lived experiences at the level that the students are on, and not assume things based on an outdated manual. Students should be empowered by learning, especially media literacy, knowing they have the tools to alter their social landscapes in order to make them supportive and inclusive. Happy Midsummer, everyone. Let me tell you about the ultimate test of patience. Being a poet waiting to hear back from publishers. It's the slowest game of Russian roulette. It's been a month since I sent out my latest batch of submissions this year. I wrote a chapbook, and I'm currently working on another. I know everything takes time, but patience and uncertainty are not my strong points. It takes a lot of distractions to not fall into the pit of anxiety. Summer is such a great time to rest and fight with your brain over what to do and how much. I used to think of it as a time to finally get things done that I wanted to do, but realistically, I needed rest. The projects and travel ideas were never possible because my body just wouldn't do it. Growing up, I used to dream about leaving the country and discovering the world on my own, but I never became that person. Cognitive disabilities that limit your ability to navigate the world on your own and make earning money difficult really limit your choices in life. I could never just pick up and leave without help from a lot of people, even with tons of planning and research. Just planning a grocery list is exhausting, and executing it, that might take another day. I used to feel bad about not having these travel and work experiences because of this idea of always having to improve yourself and prove yourself as a cultured individual. It's taken a while to unlearn that, but I realize I have more fun watching a travel documentary and learn more from chatting online directly with people from all over the world than I actually would spending a week in a different location. Travel can be fun, but it can also be someone else's nightmare when you have disabilities. I'm not ashamed of that anymore. I've had enough of my own adventures growing up, being constantly on the move. That vacations don't excite me, nor fleeting experiences. I prefer stability. I want my life to always bring me joy and feel as good as possible in any given moment, whether it's just enjoying the cool fan during a heat wave or knowing I can handle the challenges of MacGyvering a good dinner with items from the food bank. It's a struggle learning how to enjoy life. I hope you have the support you need to do the best that you can. That's my message, and thanks for listening to the Burnt Out Podcast. Take care and stay safe. This is Brooke.